I really think the power of service and the reason why it's so such a healthy thing and also such a resounding thing with everyone who participates in it is because service is inherently being about what you're for rather than what you're against. And I think when we orient ourselves, whether individually or as a society, by what we're opposed to, we are logically defined by that thing. We can't exist without that thing, which is why I will never call myself an anti-racist. And I will never call myself an anti-fascist. And why when a school says we need an anti-bullying program, I say I don't do anti-bullying. I do pro-kindness. I do pro-compassion. And I do pro-service. And that's why service is such a powerful answer to bullying, to racism, to fascism, to all these social illnesses that plague us, because service doesn't play by those rules. Service plays by its own rules of connection and seeing yourself in others and asking what you can do to help rather than like rallying around a common enemy. That to me is crucial, and that's been one of my biggest concerns throughout the past week and a half in the United States is that I love it that so many people in this country are coming up and saying Black Lives Matter. I think Black Lives Matter is an incredibly positive statement. I'm 100% behind it. My little thing is I say, hey, if all lives matter can't be true until Black Lives Matter too. It's a logical statement. So when people are like, all lives matter, okay, if you really believe that, then you need to get behind this idea that Black Lives Matter. But at the same time, I've seen a lot of advocates for the Black Lives Matter concept just kind of finding them, while they're saying Black Lives Matter, they're also saying that all cops are racist. Cleaning up graffiti in Minneapolis, a lot of the graffiti said slaughter all the pigs, kill all the police. I went to a march in Milwaukee that was led by a faith community of young faith leaders, and it was a ton of young people who were saying all coppers are bastards, all cops are racist, the cops have to go, fuck 12. Like it was as hateful as anything I've ever done. And I just don't believe that we can build anything good with hate. I don't think hate has ever made society a better place, and I don't think it's ever going to be. I understand that in the lens of privilege, like, yes, it's easy for me to say this as a straight white guy. I'll say that I learned this from people of color that I've been working with for the past 10 years. Daryl Davis being one of my greatest teachers. But, and this is not to say that there's not a place for anger. Obviously, when I saw the video of George Floyd being murdered by a white cop, as two other white cops and an Asian cop prevented bystanders from interfering, I hated that guy. I wanted to kill him with my bare hands. I feel that as a human being when I see one of my fellow human beings being murdered in public by people who are supposed to serve and protect us. But if I just let that emotion lead me by the nose, it's not going to lead me anywhere good. I have to go into that emotion and sit with it and understand that the reason I'm so angry is because of my compassion and my connection with George Floyd, and that needs to guide my intentions, not the hatred. And I'm adamant about that, and I'm going to be very outspoken about that. And it's not an easy position to be in nowadays, because I'm told that if I'm not an anti-racist, I'm a racist. And I'm there's all sorts of these ultimatums going around, and that's a normal human response. Also, when we're traumatized, the more traumatized we are, the more we orient to binary thinking. So we need to be mindful of that, but we also need to be mindful that hate's not going to create anything good, and that hating police is right now what's happening in the United States is there's all sorts of people going out saying the cops are all racist, they're all violent animals, and cops who are already on edge, who are already like they're stuck in the same cycle of violence as the people that they're supposed to serve are. They're even more on edge than it ever been. And so now more incidents of police brutality happen, and you have this vicious cycle of self-fulfilling prophecy that's not going to lead anywhere good. So I think a huge duty of anyone in positions of leadership during this time is to be about what you're for rather than what you're against. I think that's the answer to that issue.